So how do I go about slicing images out of a larger image if I am using Photoshop Elements? Well, we can't officially slice in terms of using a particular slice tool to do it. All we need to do is crop these images out of the original image. Once they have been saved as their own PSD files, then the process is exactly the same as what you would do in Photoshop when you move into optimizing each one of these images. So we simply need to crop them out of this original file. So what I mean is we have a single image here, and this image is called Slice Exercise PE. PE meaning Photoshop Elements. So there is no official slice tool in Photoshop Elements, but that isn't a real issue. What I can do is crop. So if I want to take this yellow fish out of this PSD, I can simply crop everything else, and then I have my PSD that just contains my yellow fish. So we would need to do that 3 times. So I end up with a yellow fish PSD, an orange clam PSD, and a seahorse PSD. So I will do that. If I go up to Image, here is my crop tool. And as soon as I select the crop tool, we're getting these 9 squares because the overlay says rule of thirds. So I'm going to say none in my overlay. And what that does is make it a single box. And then it's simply a matter of matching the single box up to where my image is. So I pull the edges in, and I could zoom in to make this a little more precise, making sure that I have all of the corners of the image. I click the green arrow here to commit this operation, and I now have just my yellow fish. Now, I could have taken more time to fine-tune. As you can see, we have some white edges here, and that's something I would want to address. Now, part of that is coming from my rectangle. This is really simply a transparent image in the background. And if I turn off this shape 1, which is a white rectangle, just to make it easier for you to see what I'm doing, I'll click the little eyeball in front of it. That turns off the visibility, and now I have my PSD as I need it for my yellow fish. So it's simply a matter of doing a save as, save it out as a yellow fish image inside my files, and here is my yellow fish. Now, for the web, we usually don't want to do uppercase, but I'll be consistent with my PSD files. I've used capital letters and put a dash in between. Since this is my PSD, I'll continue to use that format. So I'll save it as that PSD file, and now I have just my yellow fish. Now, I didn't delete these other layers yet, which I could do now. And in order to delete them, I select them and drag them down into the trash can. And that way I'm just left with my yellow fish layer. Nothing else will interfere. And if I wanted to crop this a little bit better, I certainly could. I still have my crop option, so I could pull this in a little bit closer. So I'll go ahead and commit that. There is my yellow fish. I just used this PSD as the yellow fish specifically, instead of working with the entire graphic of my web design. Now that I have this file saved as its own PSD, I can optimize just like I would optimize any other image. So in Photoshop Elements, instead of doing what we technically use the slice tool to do in Photoshop, we simply crop out our images, pull them out of that original graphic, and we can use them because this is actually how I need to work with this particular image once I get to my web page. So that is how to quote-unquote slice or pull a single image out of a larger graphic file so that you can move on to the optimization process and get this image ready for the web page itself.